Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakhaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yuttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarvadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamsha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatrubhyascha kripa sindhura evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I welcome you all once again for this session of the Bhagavad Gita. Last time we had completed shloka number 1 from chapter number 1. In case if anybody is not attended, then the video recordings are available. So let me just share the screen with you all. So, this first shloka, which is actually why Dhritarashtra is asking, this question that what did the Pandavas do on the Kurukshetra place, Dharma Kshetra Kurukshetra? Why? Because he was very much desirous that, oh, I wish, that my sons win the war. Also, he was doubtful. There was a little fear also in himself, in him. And he was very hopeful that might be that my sons might win the war from the Pandavas. So the lesson that is being learned, from, this shloka number 1 till 26 is that being on God's side is a million times superior to one's own political diplomacy and material expertise. What does it mean is that sometimes people think that I can diplomatically, win over somebody or win over a war or win over certain court cases, or I can win over somebody with some diplomacy, or I can dominate somebody, or I can dominate somebody with my power also, with my power, with my position, with my wealth. I can dominate a particular person. But it is so important that to know, and being on God's side means what? Being on God's side means following the instructions of the Supreme Lord. Being on God's side means that the mission of the Supreme Lord and your mission should be one. It shouldn't be that the mood of the Supreme Lord is different and our mood is something different. That the mood of the Supreme Lord is to bring back or to reclaim the fallen conditioned souls back home, back to Godhead. And our, what do you say? Our mission is that we just want to do sense gratification, eat, sleep, make merry, and just pass our time like that. So that should not be the mood. The mood should be that I want to assist the Supreme Lord in his mission. So now the second shloka, which is saying that Duryodhana. So I won't be going shloka to shloka. I was thinking that we'll discuss at least for the first chapter, we will be discussing sections. And of course, whatever is there in those shlokas, I'll be discussing that. But where there is an explanation, I will halt and I'll give sufficient amount of information and explanation for that shloka. But where there is, not much required, we can just, a sentence or two or three, and then we can go forward. So in the second shloka, Duryodhana approached Dronacharya after seeing this army of Pandavas, because he got scared. He was seeing that, okay, on that side, there are so many big Maharathis. And internally also, Duryodhana knew that Krishna is on that side, definitely I am going to lose. In the inner core of his heart, he also knew that I am going to lose the war. And because he knew that he's going to lose the war, he is now going to approach his teacher, Dronacharya. So that is why yesterday also in the Hindi class, I was explaining in the Bhagavad Gita that whenever somebody is in a dilemma, whenever there is a confusion, whenever there is an anxiety or perplexity, then a particular person, whoever is there, he has a spiritual master. He should approach the spiritual master whenever in confusion, whenever in doubt, and never take decisions independently, because there are so many things in our life happening, and we need to see that, are my decisions based parallelly according to the Shastras? Am I acting according to the Shastras? This decision particular I have taken, is it in line with the Parampara Gurus, what they have given me? So that is really very important, and that is why we need to approach the spiritual master, so that we do not take wrong decisions, firstly. Secondly, we always are in a mood of taking shelter of our Shiksha Gurus or Diksha Gurus, because sometimes Diksha Gurus are away, so Shiksha Gurus are always available. So to consult our superiors also, and this is the mood of the Bhagavad Gita. Now, soon I'll tell you that what is the first chapter's two themes it is primarily speaking of. So in the third shloka over here, Pashyatam Pandu Putram Acharya Mahatim Janam Vyudham Drupada Putrena Tava Shishyana Dhimata. So he's pointing over here in this, he's saying Pashyatam Pandu Putra. So there are many other, warriors also on this. And there are many other fighters also on the side of, and these all are great warriors on the side of the Pandavas. This is what Duryodhana is pointing out. Then he's saying that Atra Sura Maheshwasa, Bhima Arjuna Samadhi Yudhi, Yuyudhano Viratascha, Draupadascha Maharata. So who are all on the side? So Duryodhana is fearing internally seeing the Pandavas' army. And he's pointing out to Dronacharya. And Duryodhana wanted that Dronacharya should get angry, and only when a Kshatriya gets angry, then he can fight with more vigor and more valor. So till the time there is no anger, and anger is, born out of, mode of passion. So till the time they will not have mode of passion, the Kshatriyas cannot fight. So for example, even if you see on the Kurukshetra war, you all must have seen in the Mahabharata that there is a lot of shouting, screaming, yelling, and a lot of anxiety. There are arrows coming from all ends. There are, some clubs coming from all ends, and, people have to fight with that passionate mood. Otherwise, the enemy will devastate you, and you will also be killed. So over here, there is a person called Yuyudhano. So Yuyudhano is actually this person who is Yuyudhana is one person who has helped. He's a very dear servant of the Supreme Lord, and who had helped Krishna a lot. And another name for Yuyudhana is Satyaki. So he is an Atirathi among all those commander-in-chiefs also of that Yadu army. And he had learned all his tactics of Astra and Shastra from Arjuna itself. So in the Mahabharat, this Kurukshetra war, he was on the side of the Pandavas, and he was the one who helped Arjuna to break layers of all that Kaurava army to reach Jayadratha. He's the one. So he's very much strong in bows and arrows, and he's so strong that no enemy can defeat Yudhana. And in the wars there are many warriors which are Maharathi, Atirathi, Yodha, Ardharathi. So what is Atirathi? One who can fight alone against unlimited warriors. Unlimited, maybe lakhs, 2 lakhs, crores. So he is called Atirathi. Then Maharathi. Maharathi is one what? Within a group of warriors who is very expert with Astra Shastra and who can fight against thousands of warriors is a Maharathi. And then there is a Yodha. Yodha means what? He can fight only 1-to-1. With a single person he can fight. And then there is an Ardharathi. Ardharathi means what? He is still, usko bolte na, thoda kacha khiladi hai, and he needs a little assistance to defeat a single opponent. He cannot fight on his own. He needs an assistant next to him who can tell him, okay, do this, do that. And even in case he's losing, so his assistant helps him to fight. So Duryodhana was frightened with Bhima. He was very much frightened because one reason is that he had taken a vow that he will kill all the sons of Dhritarashtra. And the second is that he was going to drink the blood of his brothers. And third reason is why is Duryodhana afraid of Bhima is that he had taken a vow to break the thigh of Duryodhana because Duryodhana had wanted that Draupadi sit on that thigh during the dice game. So because of these 3 reasons, Bhima was very, very angered with Duryodhana also, and even with Dushasan. And then there is King Virata also over here. So King Virat, he was a very, very pious king of Matsya Desh, and his daughter was married. His daughter Uttara was married to Abhimanyu, and Virat was actually killed in the Mahabharat war, along with his sons Uttara. And there were 2 more sons. I just don't remember the name. I think it is Shweta and maybe Shankha. These are the 2 names of his sons. And they were killed by Drona on the 15th day. That is, see, the war lasted for 18 days, but these sons were killed on at least, so you can say 90% of the war they fought and then they were killed. So this is something really very, glorious that they were able to fight the war at least till 15 days. So if you see over here that this section, this first, this first chapter, it is repeatedly, presenting 2 themes. First is the Lord's protection. Lord's protection in the sense that the devotees who are surrendered to the Supreme Lord, they get all protection from the Supreme Lord itself. And then their victory is assured, regardless of any of their material odds that they have. And the second theme is that the Lord, as an intimate servant of his devotees. So Bhagavad Gita is introducing Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But this Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is the intimate servant of his devotees, Arjuna, and he accepts to take upon the role of a chauffeur or a charioteer also of Arjuna. So this is the mercy of the Supreme Lord. And so for us also, it is like a practical application that if I'm surrendered to the Supreme Lord, 100%. Whatever the Supreme Lord is telling me, if I am surrendered 100%, then from that side there will be full protection. Whether you are single, whether you have a family, whether you have support from your family, you don't have support from your family, whether you are the only devotee in your family, or you have another devotee in your family, or the whole family is a devotee, still you will get protection from the Supreme Lord, provided you are surrendered to the Supreme Lord. Now, actually, this word surrender is a very, very vast concept, as in when we will, keep on, unfolding the chapters, then that surrender will keep on expanding. So sometimes people will think that surrender means what? I have to leave everything and, bow down to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. No. Surrender means surrender of your sense gratification. Surrender means surrender of your senses. Surrender means surrender of your mind, surrender of your intelligence, surrender of your full self. In short, that you're surrendering your whole self with body, mind, and words to the Supreme Lord. So these are the two themes of the first chapter over here. And then if you see from the first shloka towards Sanjay is inquiring, and in the second also, Duryodhana is very much diplomatic, though he is mentioned as the king over here. He's going to the commander because the situation is very serious, and that is why he's quite fit to be a politician. And Duryodhana is pointing out Drona's mistake. Student is pointing out the teacher's mistake. That, you imparted all that military, secrets to the son of Drupada, Drishtadumna, who was born to kill Dronacharya. So this Drupada, he was born to kill only, Dronacharya. But Dronacharya, being a liberal teacher, he said, okay, even if he's killing me, I will still impart him all the military secrets. I'll still tell him or teach him all the military secrets. And Duryodhana is trying to alert Dronacharya that not to compromise and not to be lenient towards Drishtadumna, because he is a student and he should not have compassion. So, and then he's mentioning, heroes like Arjuna. He's mentioning heroes like Bhima and Arjuna. So why is he comparing them to Bhima and Arjuna? Because Duryodhana knew the strength of Bhima and Arjuna. And why is he mentioning even the other heroes in shloka number 4? He's saying that because these other, Maharathis could be stumbling blocks on the path of victory. And because Bhima and Arjuna are there, then definitely there will be victory. So, if you see from section, this first section, from shloka number, 2 to 11. So, they did not actually, because if you see that there were many heroes who were, ready to lay down their lives for Duryodhana. Like Jayadratha is also there, Kritavarma is also there, Shalya is also there. And then he's praising Bhishma also, because he was very confident of this full support of Bhishma and Dronacharya, because these are two Maharathis that were there on Bhishma's, on Duryodhana's side. Bhishma was very powerful. Bhishma could alone win the war. But because Bhishma was on the side of Adharma, that is why he lost. Had he been on the side of the Pandavas, then he did not even need all the 5 Pandavas. Bhishma alone could win the war alone. And that is why he is called the Atirathi. He can fight with unlimited warriors, and still he will be the winner. So Duryodhana was praising Bhishma. And why? Because when Draupadi was insulted in the Dais game, so though Bhishma and Dronacharya happened to be their gurus and grandfather, they were not able to protect Draupadi. They did not side that time because Bhishma was, Bhishma was completely silent in that particular court, and he was not able because he was eating the, what do you say? He was eating the food given by Dhritarashtra as a king. And that is why he was obliged to that king, and that's why he did not say anything. And same with Dronacharya also. So although Bhishma and Drona have so much affection for the Pandavas, and they might become a little lenient, and they might have affection. So Duryodhana is warning them. And then Duryodhana very diplomatically also is saying that, everybody please give support to Bhishma because he's become a little old man, and enemy might take advantage of this full engagement from one side, and the enemy might attack Bhishma from another side. So he is trying to make everyone feel very much important. But his all plans have failed. So now in this particular, section from shloka number 2 to 11, then there are very important points, if you see, that are covered, from the purports under the main theme that is there. So when Sanjay is describing Duryodhana's action first, because see, why Sanjay has to explain? Because Dhritarashtra was blind from birth. And this Dhritarashtra was bereft of this spiritual vision. And he knew that I am blind and my sons are so equally blind in the matter of religion. So Dhritarashtra was afraid that, this is a place of pilgrimage, Dharma Kshetra, and maybe, my sons might make some compromise, and they might not, fight the war also. But then Sanjay is actually telling that no, nothing of that sort has happened. And again ahead he is saying that this Duryodhana, he was feeling that he had envy for Bhima. So he was thinking that, okay, if Bhishma is there, then Bhima is just like a fig in the presence of Bhishma. And Duryodhana was thinking very confident about his victory. Why he was thinking very confident about his victory? See, there was internal fear also, and there was little confidence. So he was in dual, conflicts. That, okay, he had the strength of his friends on one side. He was thinking that. Then he was thinking that, okay, because Bhishma's presence is there, he's a very, great general also. So he's thinking, okay, then our victory is absolutely, clear that we will be only victorious. And then again, he was confident of Bhishma and Drona also. Because why? When Draupadi was insulted, these people had not shown any support to the Pandavas while she was being insulted. So now, Duryodhana is thinking that, yes, I think victory is absolutely, for me only, because these people have not, really retaliated as such. And that's why, definitely I'll be only victorious. So this is the first section from shloka number 1 to 11. And then in section, 12 to 20, where if you see that from the 12th shloka, now Sanjay is very much tactfully informing Dhritarashtra about, his hopeless plans to win by giving different signs of victory. So this second section is called the signs of victory of the Pandavas, from 12th shloka to the 20th shloka. I will give the breakup of the chapter. I should have given it first, but anyways, I'll just give the breakup of the chapter after the class immediately on the WhatsApp group. So there are 9 points that are there for the signs of victory. So the first sign of victory, on this battlefield was that Krishna's personal presence is confirming victory. Why? Because Krishna is the charioteer. Jayastu Pandu Putram Yesham. So over here, Krishna is mentioned as Rishikesha. Rishikesha is one who directly controls the senses of a pure devotee. So because Krishna was Arjuna's chariot and he was controlling the senses of Arjuna, definitely there will be victory for Arjuna. Then the second point in these shlokas from 12 to 20 is that the goddess of fortune was personally present over there. Whenever the Supreme Lord is present, then the goddess of fortune is also there. Why? Because she does not live without a second also without her husband. So if the goddess of fortune is there, then all good fortune is definitely guaranteed. There is definitely guarantee that wherever the Supreme Lord is worshipped, then the goddess of fortune is always there, because we engage the goddess of fortune in the service of the Supreme Lord. And because even of that particular venue or place, so Kurukshetra is a holy place. And in the very first sloka also we said Dharma Kshetra, Kurukshetra. So this is the third sign of victory. That is, the venue is also very much, pious or very much pure. Then the fourth sign of victory is on Arjuna's chariot, there is the flag of Lord Hanuman on that chariot. So if you see, Lord Hanuman also helped Lord Ram in gaining victory. So over here, who is originally fighting the war? Lord Krishna is fighting the war for Dharma. So that is why wherever the Lord will be there, his pure associates will definitely be there. And somebody might question that, how come, Hanuman is helping being a flag on the battle of Kurukshetra? What is the connection that Hanuman's, being on the battle? So when these, when all these, warriors, that they are there on the battlefield. So when there is a yelling and shouting and screaming, so it creates fear in the hearts of the enemies. So whenever the Pandavas are yelling and screaming, so that will induce the opposite party, fear in their hearts. And that's why Lord Hanuman's flag is there. And that flag is called Jai Pataka. The name of that flag is called Jai Pataka, which means full victory. I think Sucharita will be able to tell more about this. Sucharita, can you please explain a little about this?
It's the victory flag, Mataji. This is only one thing. Because wherever this flag is there will be only victory, and there will be no, miseries, there will be nothing, there will be no loss.
Yeah. Thank you, Sucharita. And there is the symbol of Vishnu also, because the conch shell is a symbol of Vishnu. So all the conch shells are, different conch shells are blown. So this is indirectly indicated, by Bhishma and the Pandavas' conch shells, that definitely there will be, victory. And there are transcendental conch shells also. There are, you can say, Divya conch shells also. Krishna's conch shell is there, Arjuna's conch shell is there. Bhishma's counsel is to, pacify Duryodhana. Agni Dev's chariot is given to Arjuna. Why? Because if you see that when Arjuna had to fight a war, he was very well prepared with that war. Why? Because he did a lot of tapasya or penance to gain the mercy of different demigods. So from Agni Dev, he got chariot. From Lord Shiva, he got some weapons. And from Brahma, he got some weapons. And from many other different demigods, he got different weapons. So he was well equipped with many weapons on the battlefield. And if you see that, why will a demigod give his own weapon to Arjuna? Why will any demigod give? But when now Arjuna did not, do penance to actually get these weapons for himself. But he knew that I have to serve the Supreme Lord. And in the mission of the Supreme Lord, I'm just an instrument. And that's why, to please the Supreme Lord, he is gaining all, these weapons. And of course, all the demigods knew that, okay, he's the dear friend of the Supreme Lord. And that's it. But he has toiled. It is not like that, that victory came to Arjuna very swiftly and very, very smooth. Okay. We are also fighting on a daily basis with Maya. We are also having a war against Maya on a very daily basis. So somebody should not think, oh, I'm a very poor person. Not to go into inferiority complex means, okay, or not to be dejected, because bhakti is independent. Bhakti is not dependent on any caste, creed, color, position, family, wealth, or beauty, or fame, or knowledge. Bhakti is not dependent on all these things. Bhakti is completely independent. So somebody should not think, oh, I'm born in a very poor family. How will I be able to do bhakti? Oh, I'm not very beautiful looking. How will I do bhakti? Oh, you know what? I'm not educated. I'm, just 10th pass. I can barely write my name or even read. So bhakti is not dependent on any of these things. So coming back to Arjuna's point, that he has toiled hard to win this war. And similarly, we also have to toil hard on a daily basis if we want to get out of this material precarious condition from this material world. So it's not like that, it's not a very smooth ride that, okay, we came into Krishna consciousness and now we are chanting 16 rounds and things are happening very smoothly. No. But every person has its own journey, and he also has to toil. He also has to work hard towards gaining that mercy of the Supreme Lord. And Arjuna, being the best friend of Krishna, he also had to go through that same process of surrender. So the process of surrender to Krishna is the same for everyone. It's not like that, there is some partiality or there is some favorism. No, everybody has to work hard. And if we do not work hard, then that mercy we won't give. We say that people have to get out of their comfort zone and move on to the stretch zone to gain the favor of the Supreme Lord. That extra mile everybody has to run. And when will that extra mile we will run? When we will actually associate with the devotees again and again, like-minded devotees. If we associate again and again, then we'll be able to run that extra mile. Otherwise, bhakti will be very difficult. On a daily basis, at least sitting down 5 minutes in your room, in your office, or wherever you are, 5 minutes, just give this thought, that where do I see myself 5 years from now? Plan accordingly. Where do I see myself 5 years from now? Will I be the same person who's just chanting 16 rounds and following 4 regulative principles, going to the temple, eating prasadam, attending a class and coming back again? What about then preaching? What about expanding this mission? Because any person who's thinking that, okay, these 2-3 things are enough, then that person does not grow. And eventually he will die also. Because only chanting, only reading, only eating prasadam, only this is not enough. But when you're preaching, when you are connecting people to Krishna, then that keeps you alive in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, slowly you will dwindle away from Krishna consciousness, because when there is not enough purification. Enough purification comes when you actually work for the glorification of the Supreme Lord. Then you will be purified. So when somebody is giving a class, he is also thinking that I am for Krishna's glorification and my purification. So even before Krishna's glorification, his purification is already done. He is already purified. Even the moment he decides that I want to glorify Krishna, he is purified. Even by the thought also, he's automatically purified first, and then he is glorifying. Even by that, thinking also, of desire also. So the eighth victory or sign was that he was, given the chariot of Agni Deva. And the ninth sign of victory was that all these conch shells which were blown by the Pandavas, they shattered the hearts of the Kauravas. The Pandavas' hearts were not shattered. Why their hearts were not shattered? Because of confidence in Krishna. They were pretty much confident. Why? Because wherever there is Krishna, there will definitely be victory. Whenever there is the son of Krishna there, then darkness and knee science cannot exist over there. So they were pretty much confident that definitely we are going to win. And these are the 9 signs of victory of the Pandavas. So, Bhishma's conch shell is blown over there. Bhishma's so Bhishma is actually blowing this conch shell out of compassion for his grandson Duryodhana, and he wants to even cheer up Duryodhana. He wants to even Bhishma. Why is he blowing that conch shell? That yes, when the lion roars, then all the small animals move away. And he also wanted to show that he's not going to spare any pain while doing his duty of fighting also. And he's by blowing that conch shell, he's actually expressing that he's telling Duryodhana that, see, there is no sign of victory for you. Why? Because the Supreme Lord is on the side of the Pandavas. So the 12th shloka primarily speaks that why is Duryodhana, blowing this conch shell? It is indicating, many things to Duryodhana by blowing that particular conch shell. Those 4-5 reasons that I gave. And then in the 13th shloka, then all the Pandavas are blowing their conch shells, and all other instruments that, made that big talmanous sound. So there are, from 13 to 18, then the different names of conch shells are given. So Krishna's conch shell name is Panchajanya. Arjuna's conch shell name is Devadatta. Yudhishthir's conch shell name is Ananta Vijaya. This is there in the textbook, okay? And Bhima's conch shell is named as Pondra. Nakula's conch shell is named as Sughosha. And Sahadev's conch shell name is Mani Pushpaka. So all these, what do you say? All these conch shells, when they were blown, then this is actually the sign of victory for the Pandavas. So All these have been, discussed. So now if you see in the, the 14th sloka, I guess, has no purport over here. And it's just like a message given. So in the 15th shloka, there is a message announced by the conch shells. What is that message that has been announced by the conch shell? It is that Kauravas are predestined to lose the battle. It is confirmed that they are going to lose the battle. And then the 15th shloka speaks about the name Rishikesha, Krishna's different names. His names as Rishikesha, Govinda. Govinda is the pleasure giver to the cows and the senses. Go means cow also, and go means senses also. So the one who gives pleasure to the cows also, and the one who is giving pleasure to the senses also. So how is Krishna giving pleasure to my senses? So when I am serving Krishna, then automatically by serving Krishna only, there is a condition that only by serving Krishna, my senses will get pleasure. If I am serving any other person, I am not going to get pleasure at all, any other material person. Of course, if I am serving the mission of my spiritual master, then also, why? Because the mission of the spiritual master is equal to the mission of the Supreme Lord. So if I am serving the Supreme Lord or his representatives, the Vaishnavas, then my senses will get pleasure. Otherwise, if I am serving some mundane person in the office, in the school, in the clinic, in the hospital, in the court, in NASA, in ISRO, wherever I'm serving, I'm not going to get pleasure at all. So that's the meaning of Govinda. And then Rishikesha, again, connected to, the master of the Rishikesha means the master of senses. And because we living entities, we are a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. And that is why we need to serve the master of the senses. Our senses are subservient to the senses of the Supreme Lord. And that is why the subordinate is supposed to serve the master. And that's why the Lord as Paramatma is, directing the senses according to our surrender level. So if I'm desiring that, okay, I want to go for Mangala Aarti today, so then immediately Paramatma is sanctioning, okay, go to Mangala Aarti. Automatically you will wake up and you'll go for Mangala Aarti, in the morning. Or you desire that, okay, I want to go for book distribution. Automatically the Paramatma will sanction, okay, go for book. So, the Supreme Lord is directly controlling the transcendental senses of a pure devotee. Like in the case of Arjuna, the direct control of Arjuna's senses has been taken by Krishna. Now, somebody might wonder, and it is a big mystery, that how come though Duryodhana had the Narayani Sena of the Supreme Lord, and Arjuna had only one person on his side, and that is the Supreme Lord himself. And how come, the Kauravas lost the war and the Pandavas won the war? Because the master of the senses, who is Rishikesha, he had taken full control of the senses of Arjuna. So though even Arjuna physically was there on the chariot and he was fighting the war, but from within his senses, who is controlling his senses? The Supreme Lord. So the senses are made of how many, elements? Touch, the sense of touch, the sense of sight, the sense of taste, this of hearing also. So all these 5 senses, and then you have the mind, ego, intelligence, and the soul. All that was in whose control? That was in Krishna's control. He took over Arjuna's, control of his senses. And that's how Krishna was fighting the war also and not fighting the war also. Krishna was directing Arjuna from within. Now shoot left. Now shoot over here. now shoot straight, now remove this, weapon, now remove that weapon. Oh, from this side, from back side, somebody is throwing an arrow. Okay, shoot an arrow straight up, and all those thousands of arrow will fall on, with, gravitational force, they will fall on that enemy and they will die on spot. And these arrows had poison tipped, these were poison tipped arrow. So as soon as, that arrow falls on somebody, immediately, that poisonous arrow will kill the other person. So this is how, this Kurukshetra war was going on. And then in the 15th purport, if you see, then you have the name Dhananjay. Arjuna is given the name Dhananjay, means what? Arjuna had helped his elder brother to get a lot of wealth from different sacrifices while doing the Rajasuya Yagya. And when he was supposed to be, given the Chakravati title, at that time, Arjuna had helped a lot to Yudhishthir Maharaj, and that's why his name is Dhananjaya. And then Bhima is also named as Vrukodara, because Bhima could eat also voraciously, and he could do Herculean task also with his same body. And there are other names also explained in that same purport of the Supreme Lord, who is Madhusudana, who is Arisudana, who is Vasudev, who is Devaki Nandana, Yashoda Nandana, who is Partha Sarthi. Why? Because Sarthi means a friend also in Hindi, and Sarthi means the one who is driving the chariot also. And Arjuna's one name is Partha also, because his mother's name is Pritha. So from Pritha, Arjuna's name is Partha. So Krishna, who is the charioteer or the friend of Partha, and that is why his name is Partha Sarthi. So we have Partha Sarthi Prabhu also on our forum also. So his name is also there in the Bhagavad Gita. So then from the 15th shloka, then, we travel to the 16th shloka. Now, if you see 16th shloka, 16, 17, and 18, these three shlokas, Sanjay is very tactfully informing Dhritarashtra that, about very tactfully is informing Dhritarashtra of, whatever is been mentioned, previously, that, okay, these conch shells were being blown, these conch shells were being, thrown. Just give me a minute. There is somebody on the door. Sorry for that. Generally, my parents are there, but they're not there. So then, now that is there, that Sanjay is giving, different reasons that, all these signs, previous signs that these conch shells are blowing, and Bhishma is on the side of Pandavas, and Krishna is on the side of Bhishma is on the side of the Kauravas, and Krishna is on the side of the Pandavas. So these all signs are indicating that definitely the Kurus will be, destroyed. That whole dynasty will be destroyed. And from, Bhishma to Abhimanyu, all will be doomed. And even Dhritarashtra. So if you see, in this whole Mahabharat, war, Dhritarashtra is the main culprit of this particular war, because he only encouraged this policy. And even right from childhood, if he would have adopted the Pandavas' sons, and if he would have told his own sons that, see, these are your brothers only, if he would have also given the affection, in the absence of his own younger brother to the Pandavas, this war wouldn't take place. if Dhritarashtra did not have envy for Pandu, so this war wouldn't take place. So what happened? That envy that he had for Pandavas, that same envy he put into his sons also. And that is why his sons also became envious towards the Pandavas. And he's encouraging, war over there. And then he's saying, oh, I'm very attached to my brother, to my son, but he was attached to his son. But right from childhood, when the parents give good samskaras, the children adopt that. Whatever you're going to feed, they are going to give that output. So he gave an input of envy. So the output was a war. He gave complete input to all his 100 sons that to be envious of the Pandavas, those five. So 5 against 100. And how is it possible that they're going to, win? And the Pandavas were very straightforward people. They were very simple people. They didn't know, to play politics and games. And still they were always, very pally with their 100 brothers. But the Kauravas were not, budging an inch, because there was too much of poison of envy being put into their consciousness by their own father. And to add to it, then, Shakuni also came into the, play. And that's how this whole battle took place. So in the 19th shloka also, if you see that all these, conches that are being blown, they are shattering the hearts of the Kauravas also. So, but when the conches were blown, there was no heartbreaking on the side of the Pandavas. Why? Because the Pandavas had full confidence in the Supreme Lord. So, the first theme that I mentioned was that one who is taking the shelter of the Supreme Lord has nothing to fear. Any calamity coming in your life, you don't need to fear at all if you are simply surrendered to the Supreme Lord. Like if you see in the history also, like there were so many calamities on different devotees if you count on. Prahlad Maharaj had calamity, Dhruv Maharaj had calamity, Pandavas had calamity, so many other devotees had calamities. But what did they do? Even Jatayu had calamity. Jatayu was fighting. But because he was fighting for the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Lord personally performed his final rites. So all these calamities, when they come, we don't need to fear. There is a saying, no, that tell problems that, what is that saying? That I have Krishna. Then the problems will become very small to us. But when people think that, okay, I don't have Krishna, I'll be able to solve it on my own, then, that person is bewildered and he's always in a fear. But if you take the shelter of the Supreme Lord, then there is no fear for you at all. So in the 20th shloka, Arjuna is now preparing to shoot arrows after looking at all the sons of Dhritarashtra, and then he's speaking. So if you see in this particular purport, this verse, it is describing that all auspicious conditions were arranged by the Lord for his own devotee, which is going to give complete assurance of victory to the Pandavas, to Arjuna also. So this 20th shloka, which is there, that it is actually reassuring that whenever we take the shelter of the Supreme Lord, then the Supreme Lord is giving us an assurance that you will be victorious in your life. You will never be a failure in your life. Like I have seen from my own example or the examples of other devotees also, and there is complete victory. If you see Srila Prabhupada also, Prabhupada was completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord and he emerged out victorious. He is writing books. He started a worldwide movement in America at the age of 70 years old, and he emerged. Now, if even if we start thinking that 70-year-old man, okay, going to America all alone, starting a movement. Firstly, 70-year-old people, they cannot walk properly, they cannot eat properly, they have a lot of sleep problems also, they have a lot of body ailments also. So it is very difficult. But here is Prabhupada, at the age of 70, he is going and preaching, and he is fearlessly preaching. He has no fear that what will happen. Why? Because minute to minute he was surrendering to the Supreme Lord. Minute to minute he was dependent on the Supreme Lord. Sometimes we think that we are independent, but if we are minute to minute dependent on the Supreme Lord or his representative, the spiritual master, then we don't have to fear anything in our life. Okay, what will happen to me? Will I be able to purchase another house? Will I be able to fill my loans? Will my children get married? Will my wife cooperate with me? Will my husband cooperate? No, you just keep on surrendering to the Supreme Lord as it is told in the Bhagavad Gita and by the spiritual master. Automatically things will start falling in its place. So now if you see from 21st shloka to the 27th shloka, now this third section is speaking about how Krishna is a Bhakta Vatsala, how Krishna is actually becomes subordinate to his devotee, how Krishna reciprocates with his devotees. Also, this whole section is a very beautiful section. That's why I said that the first chapter is the best chapter out of the whole, because it is speaking about the problem. Until the time we do not know what the problem is, then we won't know what is the solution also to that particular problem. So now from the 21st shloka, Arjuna is requesting, Krishna that please, draw the chariot in middle of the two armies. So he wanted to see that who are the different warriors or the Maharathis who are desiring to fight and who want to please this evil-minded person called Dhritarashtra. So now, so of course, even somebody is going on a cricket pitch or somebody is going on a football pitch. So they are also actually seeing, okay, here is some, Maharathi called Dhoni, and here is another Maharathi called Rohit Sharma, another Maharathi called Virat Kohli. So that opponent party saying, oh, acha, bach ke rehna, Virat Kohli aa raha hai. Oh, Dhoni, definitely the match will be won. So, Arjuna is trying to see that, okay, which are the, opposite people who are going to like fight with me, so that he is well prepared. So in the, 21st, 22nd and 23rd shloka, if you see in the purports, there is a meaning of Achyuta. Achyuta means actually infallible. One who does not fall from his position. Even if he has taken birth, give me 1 minute, okay? Sorry for that. Sorry. Beg forgiveness. So, if you see, where now, where in the 21st shloka, why does the Lord, the Lord never fails in his affection for his devotees? Because that particular devotee is continuously engaged in the service of the Lord, and that is why the Lord becomes bound to give him causeless mercy. So, as I said, that the very first, there are two themes. Lord is only giving protection to his devotees, and he is, exhibiting his, Bhakta Vatsalta, and he's never failing in his affection for his devotees. Then the Lord is not hesitating to carry out the order of Arjuna also as a charioteer, which means what? He's taking a subordinate position, that he is the supreme personality of Godhead. Arjuna should be riding his chariot. But here is the Lord who's riding Arjuna's chariot. And he is saying that, so if you see on the battlefield, that, Krishna is riding Arjuna's chariot, and Arjuna is from behind giving, arrows. So in the war, there is a lot of noise and there is a lot of screaming, yelling, there is a lot of dust and a lot of commotion is there on the battlefield. So how will, Krishna know that I want to turn left or right? So Arjuna, when he kicks on the left side of Krishna from behind, Krishna knows I have to take the chariot on the left side. When Arjuna kicks with his feet on the right side of Krishna's, back portion, then Krishna knows I have to take a right turn. And if he wants to go straight, then he will hit that back of his with his foot. Then Krishna knows that, okay, I have to go straight. So, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is ready to take even a menial position for the love of his devotees. So even in the Krishna book, when we are reading, Krishna as a very small infant child, Nanda Maharaj is telling, please bring my shoes. So Krishna is actually holding those shoes on his head and he is taking to Nanda Maharaj. What a menial position the Lord is taking. But at that point of time, Krishna does not know that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Neither Nanda Maharaj knows that my son is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why? Because both are covered by the Yogamaya potency. Because if Krishna knows that I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then that particular Leela or pastime will not have that effectiveness. That very innocently Krishna, knows that, okay, my father is asking me for his paduka and I have to take that paduka and run to him. Then that charm will be lost and even Krishna cannot relish that particular pastime. And that is why we say that Krishna's pastimes are achintya, inconceivable. Nobody can understand that why did the Lord do this. So, and even on this battlefield also, coming back to the battlefield from, Vraja, we'll come to back into the battlefield, that still his supreme position as Rishikesha or the master of the senses was not challenged at all. It was unchallenged. It's not like that because Krishna became the charioteer of Arjuna, now he is no more the Supreme Lord. No, his position as the Supreme Lord remains always intact. That will not be compromised at any cost at all. He will always remain the Supreme, whatever role he will take or whatever relationship he has with his devotees. And if you see in this 21st, 22nd, 23rd shlokas, that this relationship between the Lord and his devotee is sweet also and transcendental also. Why? Because a devotee is always eager to serve the Lord, and the Lord also obtains happiness or transcendental pleasure in receiving the orders of his pure devotees. Though, the Lord is infallible, he's Achyuta, he does not fall from his position, he's the supreme master, but still he's, finding pleasure. That, okay, Arjuna is giving me order, idhar ja, udhar ja, with his kicks. And he's happy. And that is the sweet relation between the Lord and his devotees, a sweet and transcendental relation. So, why did Arjuna ask, Krishna to move that chariot in the middle of both the armies? There are many reasons to that. Where first reason is that Arjuna is forced to fight against his wish because of the obstinacy of Duryodhana. Then secondly, he is very much anxious to see where all these leading men were, present with a desire to fight or to please, Duryodhana. So these all people who had come to fight from the side of Duryodhana, they were like, the birds of the same feather. So Arjuna did not know before the war that who all Duryodhana has collected, from which province, which king has come on the side of Duryodhana. Arjuna did not know that. So he was anxious. He wanted to see, okay, who is this? Okay, king of so and so is there. King of so and so, providence is there. Or king of so and so, state is there. Or country is there. That way. And also, he wanted to see that how much they are bent upon fighting. What is that envy and anger they have that they want to fight with Arjuna? And also, Arjuna wanted to know, or you can say, estimate the strength which he had to face, because he was confident of his victory, because Krishna was sitting on his side. And even Arjuna, he had no intention of making peace for that particular moment. That is why he's asking, okay, please draw the chariot in between both the armies of Pandavas and Kauravas. So this 21 shloka to 23 shloka is giving these 3 points. The meaning of Achyuta, the relationship between the Lord and his devotees, is very sweet and transcendental. And then why Arjuna wants to move that chariot in between both the armies. And coming to the 24th shloka now, that Krishna, then of course, Krishna is an obedient, master of his devotees. He very obediently is drawing the chariot, and he is, accepting the request of Arjuna in the midst of both the parties. So, in this 24th shloka, this word is used for Arjuna as Gudakesha. Gudakesha means one who is conquering sleep. Gudakesha also means one who has conquered ignorance. So, Arjuna conquered his sleep also and ignorance. Because why? Sleep is in the mode of ignorance. And because sleep is in the mode of ignorance, in the ignorance, a person cannot do something great. Okay. So a person who is in ignorance, he does not know also his relationship between the Supreme Lord. So Arjuna conquered sleep and ignorance because of his friendship with the Supreme Lord, with Krishna. So recently my sister had come day before yesterday at my place, and she was telling me that she gave a 1-hour class only on this word Gudakesha. So I told her, please share that link so that I can share it with my students also. So in case she shares it, I'll share it on the group also. So this nature of this devotee is that he cannot forget the Supreme Lord even for a moment. While walking, sleeping, doing any activity. Somebody is going to the office, somebody is riding a bike, car, or an aeroplane, or a bicycle. He is thinking of Krishna only. He is chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and he is going. Or he is hearing a class and he is going. Or somebody is cooking, somebody is sweeping, swabbing, cleaning the utensils, cutting vegetables, rolling the chapatis, or going to the market and bringing vegetables, or going shopping. Still, that devotee does not forget Krishna even for a moment. What to speak about walking? Even in a sleep condition, he cannot forget Krishna. And that is why that devotee is called a Gudakesha, or one who has conquered his sleep. So, a devotee conquers sleep and ignorance because he is 24/7 Krishna conscious. And this only state of constantly remembering the Supreme Lord, this state is called the Samadhi state. That, what is Samadhi? What do people do when they are actually, Samadhi means you're meditating. You're meditating on whom? The Supreme Lord. So whether you are sitting or the place, or your condition, it does not matter, as far as your mind is all the time thinking about Krishna. And this is called samadhi state. So Krishna, who is Rishikesha, who is the director of the mind and senses, he could understand what is Arjuna's purpose in placing that chariot in between the two parties. So he could understand that now there will be some hesitation of Arjuna to fight. And then the Lord is placing, the chariot in between both the armies. In 25th shloka, he is placing the armies, he's placing the chariot in front of both Drona and Bhishma also. So, because the Lord is known as Rishikesha in the 25th purport, he knows the mind of Arjuna, and thus he's knowing all that all the living entities are also thinking. So why? Because he's the super soul of all the living entities. He is sitting in everybody's heart. So he knows what is going on in Arjuna's mind also. He knows what is going on in the Kaurava's mind also. And again, Arjuna is referred to here as, Partha. Why? Because this Parth, he is actually, he is the son of his aunt Pritha. So Arjuna wants to point out that, okay, because he became the charioteer and Krishna wants to point out because he became the charioteer because Arjuna is the son of his aunt, Queen Kunti. And Krishna said to Arjuna that, see these Kurus over here. And why? Because why is Krishna praising the Kurus? Because he knows that what is in Arjuna's mind. Do not stop fighting. You have to fight. And Krishna is not expecting also a very cowardly, you can say, action from, his aunt's son Arjuna. So in a very, you can say that, don't stop fighting. He's just in a joking and a friendly mood also in this 26th shloka that, see, you have to fight, you don't have to back out. Now there's no choice, either you fight or you die in the battlefield. So now when he's placing the chariot in between both the armies, now Arjuna is seeing all the relatives who are assembled on both the sides. And they are, he's overwhelmed with, compassion. He's bewildered. He's in an anxiety. And now Arjuna starts speaking, in the 26th and the 27th shloka. He's saying that he's seeing all the different grades of his relatives. He's seeing his grandfather, he's seeing his brothers, he's seeing his teachers, he's seeing all his friends also like Ashwathama. He's seeing his well-wishers also like Kritavarma. He's seeing, his sons also who are, Lakshma. He's seeing his brother also Duryodhana, Dushasana. He's seeing teachers also like Kripacharya and Dronacharya. He's seeing all his maternal uncles also like Shakuni, Salva, and he's seeing all his, father's contemporaries also like Burishwara. So all these people he's seeing on the battlefield. And after seeing all these people on the battlefield, now Arjuna is going to actually take some very serious decision. And that decision is not appreciated by Krishna. So from 28th shloka to the 46th shloka till the end of this section that is there. Now Arjuna is actually giving his valid reasons that he does not want to actually fight. He's saying that I've had enough, that I don't want to really fight. And Krishna is amazed to see, Krishna is confused that, hey, why is he does not want to fight. So till the end of this chapter, that is the 46th shloka, now Arjuna is giving some arguments and In certain sections, he's giving arguments, and then, Krishna will refute those arguments also. So from 28th shloka to 46th shloka, Arjuna gives 5 arguments for not to fight. And why he does not want to fight is because he is identifying himself, or he has attachment to the body, and because he's identifying and he has attachment to this bodily, disables, he is thinking that, I don't want to fight on the basis of religious duties, and I will not fight this war. But then Krishna actually, helps him, and Krishna gives him certain words which will ultimately help Arjuna to execute the will of the Supreme Lord. So it is very interesting that to analyze what is the cause and effect of Arjuna's bewilderment. Arjuna gets bewildered. So it is bought, by, why is he bewildered? Because somebody is bewildered because his own interest is not being catered to. His own interest is not being taken care of. And that is why a particular person becomes bewildered. So for example, okay, that you go to some, marriage party, okay, and you see that, that, the food stuff that is kept over there, or the dishes that are there, they have onion, garlic, or some meat is there. Then what will happen? You'll get bewildered. That, I had told her that I don't eat onion and garlic, I don't eat meat, and still, they have this non-veg kept and onion garlic kept. So, our own self-interest, we have that interest in ourselves, and it is for our own self-interest that we first get bewildered. Okay, I got bewildered. Or if I have something in my mind which is of my own interest, and somebody did not pay heed to that interest, so then that also bewilders the person. So, and the result of such bewilderment would be that, a person will have, fear, will have, indecision. He'll get confused of his moral codes, and he will not have a clear vision. His vision will be blurred. Like, for example, if I remove my glasses right now, I won't be able to see you all at all who are there on the screen. So that way, that vision will be blurred. So there'll be no clarity for him in life, and he might take wrong decisions also. So Arjuna has 5 arguments for not to fight this particular war. But currently, I don't want to take this section because it's a very interesting section, because over here now the problem starts. Now Arjuna is going to give his problems. What is the problem that he does not want to fight? So the problem is going to be said by Arjuna that these are the problems that I don't want to fight. And that's how Krishna will, help him to fight. And, and then the whole series of Bhagavad Gita till chapter 18 is there, that where Krishna is giving, he is refuting his arguments in different chapters and solving his queries. So 5 arguments, the counter refutation Krishna has done in the next chapter itself. And, one of them he has done it in chapter 3. So I want to discuss this in the next section. So I just rest my speech over here. If anybody has any doubts, queries, questions, you'll are free to ask me. Okay, you all don't have any doubts at the moment?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Mataji, I am not yet clear. why Arjuna is still bewildered when the Supreme Personality of Godhead is always with him, not in the war field alone. They were close friends, relative in every way. Arjuna got enlightened by the association of Supreme Lord. Then why was he bewildered?
Good
Not
question, Prabhuji, very nice question. So why is Arjuna bewildered? Because this is Krishna's plan. Arjuna is a pure devotee of the Lord, and a pure devotee of the Lord is never bewildered. So Krishna actually induced that bewilderment in Arjuna so that the Bhagavad Gita could be spoken. And Arjuna is actually representing one of us only, because many times we are also bewildered. And then some of our friends, they come and they solve our bewilderment. So Arjuna became an instrument for Krishna in speaking the Bhagavad Gita for the whole world. Because everybody was hearing the Bhagavad Gita. And this Bhagavad Gita, Krishna wanted to re-establish the Bhagavad Gita for all times to come, for the Kali Yuga also, and for time immemorial. And that's why Krishna chose Arjuna as an instrument. Like even if you see in the Srimad Bhagavatam also, Parikshit Maharaj is a pure devotee of the Lord, and he is being chosen as one of the instruments for speaking Srimad Bhagavatam by Srila Shukdev Goswami. So whenever the Lord wants to establish something, what he does is, he establishes through his pure devotees. Like, for example, if the mother-in-law wants to give some instruction, what will she do? She will give the instructions to the daughter-in-law via her own daughter, right? So she is telling actually her own daughter, but who is listening? The daughter-in-law is listening. The non-devotees are listening. The Mayavadis are listening. The atheists are listening. So when Krishna wants to establish this. Okay? Prabhu?
Thank you, Mother.
Any more questions?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanavad Pandit.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Mataji, I have 3 questions. Mataji, you said that Krishna is Rishikesha and he took charge of the senses of Arjuna, and then he was fighting also. Lord Krishna was fighting also, and he was not fighting also.
Yes.
So Mataji, this primary reason is Krishna doing this is because Arjuna is a pure devotee, surrender is just the love for the devotee, or is it like, and the secondary reason is dharma samsthapana? How do I see? The primary reason is actually love for Arjuna, and the
Yes.
secondary reason is dharma samsthapana?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Your understanding is completely correct. That Krishna, when he comes, he's coming for his devotees, because he has so much love for his devotees. And then to re-establish the religious principles is a byproduct of that love. So primarily Krishna comes to actually, give pleasure to his devotees, because the devotees are, struggling so much and toiling so much and so much surrender to the Supreme Lord, and they are so much close to the Supreme Lord. So the Supreme Lord comes to reciprocate with his pure devotees on this earth planet.
Okay. Mataji, my second question is that when you said that, Bhishma, he joined Kauravas because one reason is because, because he was taking food there or whatever, the Kauravas were maintaining him. Then one more reason was that, I heard that, he vowed that, he will protect this kingdom, because he said that he will remain Nashtika Brahmachari, he will never touch, he will never become a king.
Yes.
But Mataji, he comes under 12 Mahajans. A Mahajan is very high. So does these reasons actually, are these like some like external reason for outside? Because internal reason can be like, maybe for the pleasure of Krishna, maybe Krishna wanted him to join and to fight as opposite. Is it because Mahajan is who understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So how can a Mahajan act like that?
If you read Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhishma Stuti chapter actually. So in that, one of the purports, Srila Prabhupada writes that how much ever great a warrior Bhishma is, or how much ever he is able to fight. So there is a sentence where Prabhupada writes that the wise cannot win over the, give me 1 minute, I'll just remove that. Quickly, I'll just remove that. So in the 10th shloka somewhere, Prabhupada is writing that even though Bhishma is, very exalted, the Lord wanted to show that nobody can win over on the side of adharma. Yeah, so this is shloka number 1.9.16. Give me 1 minute, I'll just share with you all. So see over here where even a great fighter like Bhishma could not win the battle of Kurukshetra because the Lord wanted to show that the wise cannot conquer the virtue, regardless of who tries to execute it. Bhishma was a great devotee of the Lord, but he chose to fight against the Pandavas by the will of the Lord because the Lord wanted to show that a fighter like Bhishma cannot win on the wrong side. Because he was on the wrong side, he cannot win. So this is the answer to your question, what Prabhupada is giving.
Okay. Yes, Mataji. Mataji, my third question is regarding surrender, which you just mentioned that, in every Prabhupada books also, Srila Prabhupada always mentions about surrender. And then we understand that there are these 6 symptoms of surrender where we learn that, Avashya Rakshite Krishna, that Krishna is the only maintainer. We have to only submit to himself and we should be meek and humble. But Mataji, in my personal case, whenever, I just say, oh, Krishna, I surrender to you, but I'm not actually able to surrender. So what exactly this surrender means? Because it is just, orally I'm saying, okay, I surrender to you, and I'm not able to surrender. So what can be done?
Surrender is a very vast concept. And if you see Bhakti Charup Swami Maharaj, he has given one very nice seminars on Sharanagati, surrender. But Sharanagati is what? Accept what is favorable, reject what is not favorable. Having full faith, being meek and humble, and trying to be dependent on the Supreme Lord. So these are the 6 aspects of Sharanagati or surrender. And then when you take one of them, accept what is favorable, then what is favorable for my devotional service, I will take that only. What is not favorable, I will not accept. I'll be very strict with those principles which are against the, against Krishna consciousness, which are not going to help me to bring closer to Krishna. So I'll accept only those things which are getting me closer to Krishna. And now when we study nectar of devotion and nectar of instruction, there also elaborately again surrender will be there, that talking unnecessarily, doing prajalpa, talking, because there are people who, see, if you see even in the news also, okay, unnecessary full day on that channel, only prajalpa is going on. And people are just blabbering the way they want, whatever they want to blabber, then that is prajalpa. And we are hearing also on that news. Then there are people who are very much interested with these stars, which are not going to, give us. That is prajalpa. There is so much of interest with people with cricket, football, and many things, but they are just, that is complete prajalpa happening. So, and there are people who are continuously, talking on the phone with their, loved ones. They are this, then there's no connection between Krishna and them at all. So this is completely unfavorable. And favorable means what? What is favorable for my relation and Krishna's relation to come near to each other? Then that is, Saranagati. That is what I'm accepting. What is favorable for me? Okay, favorable for me is that I keep on chanting more and more names. I keep on preaching. I keep on reading. I keep on doing mananam. I keep on trying to develop what my relationship is with my spiritual master and Krishna. Then that is favorable completely. And with that favorable, then, having a very meek and humble attitude also towards the Supreme Lord, then that is completely called favorabilism towards. And so Sharanagati actually has a very deep concept. But to come to that point of Sharanagati, then what are Krishna's instructions in the Bhagavad Gita? Then slowly, then you follow those instructions of the Bhagavad Gita. You mold your life according to those instructions, and that is actually Sharanagati. Because when you mold your life, then you will not be able to think about anybody other than the Supreme Lord. You will have all your relations, but you know that these relations are temporary. These are not going to, give me, any permanence, because in my past birth, those who are my mother, father, brother, sister, friends, they are not there anymore in this birth. And neither will they be in the next birth. But yes, I have to have these relations, but bare minimum, whatever I have to, have those relations, because if somebody is doing heavy prajalpa, then better avoid that particular person. Because some people are interested only in doing gossip. You meet them in the temple, they are gossiping only. They are gossiping about their past. They are gossiping about their relations. They are bitter relations with others. So then those gossips we should be completely avoiding. And anybody is doing that gossip, you just have to tell them that, see, you're talking about that person. I don't even know who that person is. I've never even met that person in my whole life. And you're gossiping about that person. Better not gossip about that person. We better talk about Krishna and his devotees, and we both will feel nice also, and our relation will also develop. Otherwise, when we are doing prajalpa, the relationship between you and that devotee will also never develop at all. So it's always good to actually talk about only Krishna. And of course, if that devotee is not feeling well, then we should be sensitive also. That, okay, how are you? How are you? Then, we can ask them. But at the ultimate 2 to 3 hours, gossip only, about Prajalpa, that is also not good. Okay. So, Charita.
Okay, Mataji, yes, thank you so much. Dhanavad Pranam.
Krishna, Dhanavad. Any more questions or queries anybody has? Okay, fine. If nobody has any queries, we, we halt a class over here only, and we meet the next week. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrind ki jai, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you.